I could bring you in warm, or I could bring you in cold. Hey there YouTube world, Matt Schwartz the Welding Geek here, and I've got a series of videos for you guys this time. I decided I wanted to remake the Mandalorian's helmet. Now I know I've been down this road once before, but I decided I wanted to make this again and to break it down for you guys with narrations over the videos and explain exactly what it is I'm doing. The first video I really get into depth, showing out how I'm cutting everything out, and as the series progresses I do less of showing you redundant steps that you've already seen and more just breaking it down a little quicker each video. The first video will be the faceplate. You'll see how I fabricate and dress the faceplate. Basically from here to here, not the ear caps, just the faceplate, getting the cheeks welded in and dressed down, and not the T-visor. You won't see me cut out the T-visor yet. Second video is the dome, how I planish the dome in this rear section. Okay, not the vent, not the crest, just this piece and getting those two pieces together. The third video will be attaching the faceplate to the back section here, getting it welded, getting the T-visor cut out, and getting this put into place. The fourth video will be, sorry, I'm trying to remember, the rear vent piece and the crest. And then the fifth video will be the ear caps and how I polish the helmet. And those will be the 5 videos that you're about to see. So, if you want to watch all these, stay tuned. It's on a playlist, so they should go one right after another if you choose a playlist, I believe. But if you get through this video and just look for the next one, it'll be part 2, then part 3, part 4, and part 5. So, if you want to see all that, let's roll these videos. Alright, we're going to get started with my templates here. These are available over at my Patreon account. You just print them out 1-to-1, and then you can do like me. I used high strength 3M high strength 90 spray adhesive to adhere my templates to my aluminum. I'm using 063, which is a 1/16 of an inch thick, 3003, which is the alloy of the aluminum. That's a little softer than 6061 and 5052. And then I will use my squeegee to press out all the air bubbles that are underneath. Alright, just a close-up of the shear that I use every day. This is a pneumatic shear, I believe. These are the capabilities. What I'm looking for is the aluminum, which it will shear up to 100 thou aluminum. And when I get ready to cut out all my pieces here, I'm just blanking out to start, and then I'll shear whatever straights I can shear on the shear. That was a lot of shears in a row there. You can see here now I've got my straight edges all sheared, and then like you look at the top edge, it's a curve, so I'll have to take it over to the bandsaw to finish that up. And I'll do that to all these pieces here. Alright, you will notice there are cross hatches in the corners and a bunch of holes in my templates. And I'm going to use, and I typically use a Starrett center punch tool to mark out all those cross hatches to get you directly in the center of that circle. You can see here the cross hatches, those are to line up the center of all the radiuses for if you want to use a drill or whatever you have access to get your holes in your piece of aluminum or steel or whatever you're using. Alright, a close-up of our rotary index punch here. It's made by a company called Rotex. This thing is a beast and is very helpful to have around. I've sheared up to 3/16 aluminum with it. Smaller, smaller holes, not like the big 1.5 inch holes, probably up to a 1/2 inch. On this thing, you can see there are letters. That's an M, and there's an M above it, and that's how you index each hole with the right, each punch with the right die. And it's a very, very awesome tool to have. I'll go ahead and punch out all my holes. There are some 1/8 inch holes, some 1/2 inch holes, a bunch of different size holes, but you can see how sweet this thing is to have. Alright, next up is the bandsaw. This is kind of the speed chart. There's a bunch of different stuff. We kind of have everything marked off for steel and aluminum, and then we put a different blade in for titanium. So I'm going to go ahead and get all my stuff cut out here. The camera didn't record when I was doing the faceplate there, so you can see I'm just following my lines on the bandsaw. I know it looks like I'm going crazy fast and stuff, but this is ×8 speed, so I'm actually going a lot slower and a lot more meticulous than what it looks. So I'm just cutting on my lines, and yeah, just like using a bandsaw. Alright, next up here I'm going to use my pneumatic angle head grinder with a Scotch-Brite to smooth out all my edges, because you don't want a gritty edge when you're welding. You want a nice smooth edge so it keeps your welds clean. Any little gritty crap is going to put impurities in your weld, and you don't need that. So I'm just cleaning that up here. Alright, now I'm going to use this Milwaukee angle head grinder with a cutoff wheel attachment on it to mark out my T-visor, and then the feature line above here, it gets cut in there. And I'm just going to mark the T-visor right now. I'm not cutting it all the way out, so I can form it, and then I'll go back in later and cut it out. But this is a 3-inch cutoff wheel that I'm using, and I'm just scoring the metal. And then there's also that top line in his helmet, a little feature that's actually just like a decorative line on the top. And this Milwaukee angle head is awesome. Is slip rolling time. This is our slip roller. You can do up to about probably 100 thou aluminum on here. I'm just using this little lever over here to make it easy to circle it in and out and put more pressure on it. Just kind of eyeballing the curvature as of right now, and then I'll be fitting it to the dome in the back later. There's no exact shape, you're just eyeballing it for right now. Now I'm going to do the back section, and you're going to sneak up on it. You don't want to go as far as you want to right away, otherwise you'll overbend it. You want to sneak up on that radius by turning the screws a little bit each time. Alright, this is our little bantam brake. This thing is awesome for getting those little bends that you can't get like a box and pan brake or the apron brake into. We've got a bunch of different dies, so I'm going to go ahead and hit these. You can see how you can get that bend with the dies, because you can bend it off the die instead of having a flat. It's really kind of hard to explain, but this makes easy to get all these complex bends in there with the different dies that we have. Now it's time for a little tweakonomics. I'm just going to put a little radius on this cheek here over this 3-inch piece of aluminum tube and the other dolly there. Just a slight radius like that. Nothing fancy. That's what's nice about using 3003 aluminum. And then we are going to move on to welding. This is the Miller Dynasty 300 SD welder. This is an older welder, but it does a fantastic job. How I weld is usually anywhere from 155 to 162 amps. My pre-flow set at 0.5 seconds. Post is 8 seconds. Like amps, I said 155 to 165. And then my balance is at 75, and my AC frequency is at 275. If you know what I'm talking about. If not, it's just how the welder set up. Alright, time to get the cheeks tacked on. I'm going to use my TIG welder here and fuse and rod tack them into place. You can see here where I etched it with the cutoff wheel, the T-visor. So I'm just going to go ahead and do my best to get the cheeks tacked on here. As you can see, tacking these cheeks into place is a pretty tedious process. It takes a little bit of time, but once you get it, it comes out looking really nice. If you notice here, looking closely, the inner seam of the cheek, there's no weld on the outside of that. And that's because I'm going to weld the backside and then come and fuse it close, because it's really hard to dress the weld out of that inner seam. So I'm going to go ahead and get all this stuff TIG welded up, and it will get on to the next process, which will be dressing all the welds off. Here's a little close-up of the actual welds. These are not my best welds. I don't take my time with the outside welds because I'm going to end up dressing them off. So if I'm dressing them off, I'm not taking my time. I'm just getting weld down. But if it's staying and it's going to be seen, I try to take my time and make them look really nice, like a stack of dimes sitting on top of each other. Alright, here's a close look up of the inside. The welds are a little nicer, not my best, but since they're staying, I try to make them look like a stack of dimes. Now it is time to dress off the welds. I'm using my DA sander with 120 grit to start, sandpaper on it, and this cutting wax. And I'm going to go through and just do the welds on the face of the helmet, not on the inner cheek welds. And I'm just trying to square these up, get rid of the welds down flush with the main surface there. Now I'm going to switch to the angle head grinder and do the same thing to the interior cheeks. I use the angle head because it has a 2-inch disc on it, and it's just easier for this radius that I'm trying to grind into. Alright, this is my first pass with the coarser sandpaper. Next up, I'm going to go in with finer sandpaper discs and Scotch-Brites and try to smooth everything out just a little further until the scratches are minute and it looks nice and clean. I'm going to 220 grit next, and then I'm going to use a hand sander here with 220 and go through and try to blend everything together. This is what it looks like after the second phase, the finer sandpaper. And the last step is to hit it with a Scotch-Brite pad, a red Scotch-Brite pad. Alright, and that's what will be the last step on the faceplate. All finished up, smoothed out. Now I'll sandblast it here, but this is what the raw metal looks like. Really happy with how this came out. That is the faceplate video. I know it's a little different here and I can't really show you, but This is it up close. All shiny. You can see the nice straight seams and the dressing. That's really hard to do. Making it all symmetrical and even. Not perfect, but I hope you guys enjoyed that video. Like I said, part 2 will be coming up here next, so I hope you stay tuned. I have a Patreon page where these templates will be available in the template tier, and there'll also be a giveaway tier. So if you want to support my channel, keep me growing, keep me going, you can head over to Patreon and help me out there, or you could subscribe to my channel. That will help me out and watch through the commercials and do all that fun stuff. Liking the videos, throwing a comment on there. I do read most of the comments. So thanks for watching part 1, guys, and I hope you continue on down the path of the helmet build. This was another fun build. I know I've been down this path before, but I wanted to do it again. So I hope you go along the ride again. So my name is Matt Schwartz. I'm the Welding Geek. Thanks for watching, guys.